People are always willing to talk about themselves. And the easiest way to sell is being in tune with your people. Our number one advantage in the market has always been that we are in the operating reality of our customer and of our prospects better than anyone else. Feedback loops are going to allow you to make instant offers that convert right away without needing sales pages, campaigns, or launches in order to do it. This is what we're doing for our sponsors of Call to Lead this year. And I used one-word marketing to get people to respond. Within 24 hours, we had $10,000 come in. We have calls with 7 more people that are interested in becoming sponsors. But building feedback loops is about you having direct insight into the zeitgeist of the market to make an instant offer that people can say yes to immediately. Let's have some fun today on the Kelly Roach Show. We're going to talk about building effective feedback loops and how it can help you make instant offers, make more money, and grow more easily in your businesses. If you've never listened to the Kelly Roach Show before, I specialize in helping online entrepreneurs of all walks of life build 7- and 8-figure businesses with daily systems for sales. Now, today, we're going to talk about feedback loops. And feedback loops are the process of you being able to test things out, get really quick pieces of feedback, and then turning those pieces of feedback around into making offers that convert instantly. And I'm going to give you specific examples of this. Now, there are multiple different types of feedback loops that you can build. You can build feedback loops with your clients, feedback loops with your team, feedback loops with your market, and feedback loops with your prospects. And so as I'm discussing this strategy, I want you to think about those 4 different layers and different elements of how you can use this strategy to make more money more quickly in your business. But here's the kind of overarching concept or idea that I want you to think about. People are always willing to talk about themselves. People are very me-centered. And the easiest way to sell is being in tune with your people. I've shared on the podcast so many times that our number one advantage in the market has always been that we are in the operating reality of our customer and of our prospects better than anyone else. We're not worried about what we're thinking or what we want to market or what we want to say or what we want to do. We are taking what we are the best at, we are merging that with the needs of the market, and we're creating just-in-time solutions that are a match for the zeitgeist. And the zeitgeist is what is the common thought process, the line of thinking, the energy, the dynamic that's already going on, the conversation already going on in the minds of the people that you want to buy from you. And this is a skill, and it's a mode of doing business. It is a mode of doing business, and high growth companies that are able to sustain high growth are really good at this. So this is a show that you want to lean into. This is a conversation that you want to wrap your head around, because this is something that it's timeless, and it's going to make a difference for you forever for the rest of your time as an entrepreneur. Feedback loops are going to allow you to make instant offers that convert right away without needing sales pages, campaigns, or launches in order to do it, which, by the way, I love all of those things. So I love to launch. I love building campaigns. I love all of those things. However, we are in a market where it is absolutely crucial to have your daily sales system dialed in. And the reason why it's so crucial is, even though we recommend that you're continuously launching, we still launch every 6 to 8 weeks. We probably do more like once every 4 weeks now, actually, because we're doing shorter launches and they're a much lighter lift because we're doing lighter product. So now we're doing more like every 4 weeks. But what I will say is that the launch market is very unpredictable now because the overall market is very unpredictable. And so it's really important to make sure that you have your daily sales system dialed in so that you're not waiting for 4 or 6 weeks and counting on a certain number of sales to come in. And then if one little thing is off or something doesn't go the way that you planned, your business could be in a lot of trouble. And, for many, many years, this was not the case. launches were very predictable for many, many years, and they're not predictable now. And it's why we have really moved away from teaching only that and really layered live launch as a more mastery level skill for people that really understand the daily sales system with Miracle Hour and Dream 1000. That's why we're much more market focused on dispersing the idea and the concept of Dream 1000 and Miracle Hour right now, because now I really consider that to be the foundation and live launch to be the mastery that layers on top of that. Okay, so that said, we want to be able to be producing offers consistently that are going to sell right away without needing assets, expenses, additional staff, or campaigns. And this is going to be crucial because when you use the trust building offer strategy to acquire customers on the front end, and then you're moving them into your high ticket, your trust building offers job is hook, line, and sinker. Your trust building offers job is bring in those customers in a frictionless way that doesn't require sales calls, that then you can move through your ecosystem to your mid and high ticket. So that said, when we look at feedback loops are the process of you turning pieces of feedback that you get into proactive offers that convert, versus what most people do, which is like they get feedback, they kind of sort of implement something, and they build the product to address it, versus taking it way back in the sales process and actually building the marketing and the sales message and the offer itself to address that thing that is top of mind for the customer. I'll give a great example. Sandy and I have been working hard to get ready for Called to Lead, which I'm super excited about. If you don't have your ticket to Called to Lead, what are you waiting for? Every single listener of my show should be there. This is going to be in Miami on September 25th. So you would fly into Miami International. We're bringing together 200 women from around the globe to elevate in their leadership, their businesses, their network, and their content monetization strategy. We're going to be talking about faith, family, friendship. We're going to be talking about growing our businesses, leading in our markets, what's working today, and so much more. You can scroll down below this episode to grab your ticket for Called to Lead until they're sold out. Once they're sold out, they're gone. But anyway, in that process, we were talking to someone who was considering being a sponsor. And this person said to us, well, I don't want to sponsor because the last sponsorship that I did, I didn't make an ROI. And so the question was, what did you do to make an ROI at the last sponsorship that you did? And of course, the answer was they showed up at the event. And what's so important to know if you're going to spend any amount of money on sponsorship is that's a process that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And there has to be pre-work before the event, what you do at the event itself, and what you do after the event in order to take that opportunity and really, truly maximize and get an ROI from it. And most people that sponsor simply show up and sponsor, and then they wonder why they didn't get results from it. Now, a lot of bigger corporations do sponsorships, so they don't even care. They're like, it's visibility, they're building brand, they're not super focused on it. But we know for small business owners, like this is crucial. You have to make money from the things that you spend money on as a small business owner. That's only the responsible thing to do. So we got this feedback, and I said to Sandy, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I said, this year, I'm going to flip the script. I said, anyone who comes on as a sponsor of ours, I am going to personally train on how to monetize their sponsorship. And I said, the reason why I'm going to do this is not only do I want our sponsors to make an ROI at Call to Lead this year, but I want to make our lives easier for the next however many years in the future that we're going to do this event. I said, if we teach our sponsors how to make money at this event, they're going to want to be at every event we ever do. So I'm instantly thinking, how do we use this feedback to drive lifetime value of the customer? How do we do the hard thing now, which is put in extra time and energy and effort to our sponsors up front but then make our jobs and our lives easier down the road. So I said, you know what? Not only am I going to train our sponsors on what to do before, during, and after the event, I'm going to give them the training so that they can use it forever in their businesses. So anytime they're sending a team member out or anytime they're going to do a sponsorship, they can go through the training, map out their steps, and have a plan to make sure they can monetize. But I said, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to actually take that feedback, and that's how I'm going to monetize our sponsors this year, meaning that's how I'm going to market these sponsorships. So I immediately, within like hours of having this call, I wrote my first post on social media. It absolutely blew up. You can see them. There's one on my Facebook page. There's one that's a collab post between Sandy and I. And I said, most sponsorships never make an ROI. They're a total waste of time. And I explained why. And I said, here's what we're doing differently. This is what we're doing for our sponsors of Called to Lead this year. And I used one-word marketing to get people to respond. Guess what happened? Immediately, we made new sponsorship sales. Immediately, we had over a dozen people that were interested in sponsoring our event. And we monetized that. Within 24 hours, we had $10,000 come in. And this just happened. So even in the next couple of days, we have calls with 7 more people that are interested in becoming sponsors. Okay. So that one piece of feedback, I didn't say, oh, well, that's their problem. It's the sponsor's job to, get leads and, turn them into sales, which it is, by the way. I didn't say that. I said, okay, that's really interesting. That's a feedback loop for me because he just gave us a clue into the zeitgeist of what every person is thinking that should be sponsoring one of our events that isn't right now. So that piece of feedback, I said, okay, how do I close the loop? What are my steps to close the feedback loop? So the feedback loop starts by you getting valuable feedback from the market that tells you what the zeitgeist says. Then the next step is, how do you build that into your offer to address that? The next step is, how do you build that into your marketing to flip it from being a reason that you're not making sales to being a reason that you are making sales? And then the fourth step is, how do you take that to market instantly and test it and monetize it without any added expense, effort, time, money, etc. So you get the piece of feedback, you figure out how you're going to address it in the offer, you turn it into a proactive marketing tool, a sales tool, because now you got that valuable piece of feedback. You're in the zeitgeist now. You got that valuable piece of feedback. Now you're using that actually to sell proactively. So instead of it being an objection that you're getting about why people aren't doing what you want them to do, that you now have to respond to, now you're flipping it around and you're saying, no, this is how I'm selling it. I'm selling it by addressing the concern that's the reason why people aren't buying. And then I'm taking it to market immediately. And that's exactly what I did. And those 2 posts alone, it wasn't through calls and campaigns or ad spend, or we didn't even send out an email to the list about it. Okay. We only sent an email to attendees and past attendees. And that was totally separate after the fact. It was literally just those 2 posts from social media. Okay. So my point to you is that we get feedback in a lot of different ways, shapes, and forms every single day. And a lot of people think about feedback as something that they can improve on. They think about feedback as something that it's like, okay, either this person's crazy and we need to put this to the side, or, oh, that's valuable, we should do something with that. And then it kind of gets wound into like discussions and conversations and an action plan for the future. And maybe or maybe not, does it ever actually make you money? But building feedback loops is about you having direct insight into the zeitgeist of the market and turning it around into what I call instant offers. Instant offers. So an instant offer is where you take the feedback, you flip it around, you take the reason someone's not buying, you make it the reason they will buy, and then basically you make an instant offer that people can say yes to immediately. And you can do this with all sorts of trust building offers. I'm even using these sponsorships as trust building offers for Sandy and I because our objective is we want to bring people in as sponsors for Called to Lead that make so much money, have so much fun, and love working with us so much that when we go to do our event next year, we don't even need to look outside of the people that we're already in front of. We're like, oh, we already have a whole list of people that we know want to sponsor any event we do because they know what to expect and they know what we're going to deliver. We're also putting a permanent asset in their hands that is going to help them learn not just how to monetize Called to Lead, but how to monetize any other event that they ever do. And to put the cherry on top, we decided to do it live so that we could customize the feedback that we're giving and customize the guidance and support that we're giving so that people could get even better results. Okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, there's a lot of different type of feedback loops that you can build. Clients, team, market, customers, desired customer, And so what you have to look at is, are you in conversations with enough people? Do you currently have direct insights and direct inroads to getting that feedback? If your team is the one conversing with a lot of people in the market, whether it's clients or prospects, do you have a mechanism on a daily basis for getting that feedback? We come together every day on Miracle Hour. So literally on Miracle Hour the other day, we got on. We just had launched the Gold, Virtual Business School Gold, and we were discussing the new sales that were coming in, and we were discussing our roadmap to getting to our first 100 students in Virtual Business School Gold. And I was asking the team, like, what feedback are you getting? What are you hearing in the DMs? What is the conversation? And they said, oh, we heard a lot of people that were interested, but they're still unclear on the difference between VBS and VBS Gold. And so literally on that call, we built a side-by-side comparison chart, added it to the sales page, started sending it out in PDF form to people, and put a Q&A on the calendar for next week to go through the distinctions, okay? So by the time you're hearing this podcast, this is past and over, and we probably already have our spots filled in VBS Gold. But I give that example because I want you to see feedback loops should be instantaneous. Feedback loops should be you developing your ability to lead through rapid execution. Because great leaders, visionary leaders, people that build wildly successful companies, they make the call and then they make the call the right call. And they do that by feedback loops. They do that by taking action, observing, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and then turning it around. And feedback loops are an incredibly important part of leaping your sales forward. So down below this episode, I'm going to put a couple different resources for you. The link to join us inside Virtual Business School or Virtual Business School Gold. Okay, both of those are going to be down below. And the link to come join Sandy and I at Called to Lead. It is September 25th, Miami Ironside. We have specific hotels that we recommend very close by. 200 women. We're going to be talking about faith, family, fitness, fun, fulfillment, and building your empire. This is going to be your opportunity to make new business friends. We have a new concept we're doing this year called ROI in the Room. So you're going to be creating content, taking action, and leaving with assets in hand. We can't wait to meet you. We can't wait to see you there. Make sure you grab your ticket for Called to Lead today. And then, of course, if you want to be one of our featured sponsors, we have a whole list of benefits, insane benefits that our sponsors get above and beyond the monetization training. So hope to see you at Called to Lead. Look forward to seeing you in the room, and make sure that you get started implementing feedback loop for instant offers today, because you can grow even faster, even simpler, and have more fun in your business. I can't wait to watch you make it happen. Thank you so much for listening to The Kelly Roach Show. If you enjoyed this episode, do me two solids. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review so other people can find the life-changing content that we share here. We're on our way to #1, and we need your help getting there. Thanks so much for being a part of the community and for tuning into the show each and every week.